Live from San Diego, this is KUSI News.
The July jobs report was just released, and it shows employers added just 73,000 jobs and unemployment numbers rose. Here to tell us more is employment attorney Annie Ellis, a good friend to KUSI. Hi, Annie. Welcome back.
Hi.
So tell me a little bit about what you saw when you saw this jobs report and your reaction and what it could mean for people.
Well, this was interesting because the headline wasn't really July, right? It was what happened in the prior 2 months. So what a lot of people maybe don't, dig behind the curtain and understand is these are based on surveys, these numbers that come out. A lot of people ask, like, where does this come from? Why is it moving? It's a couple different buckets. So it's household surveys, which tend to be pretty volatile and you just really don't know what you're going to get. But then it's employer surveys that come in late. And so what happens is for the next 2 months, we get to revise jobs. And this was revision 250,000 jobs downward from the last 2 months versus what was reported in those 2 months. And that's supposed to be considered a sign of potentially recession or chilling labor markets, but it's just 1 month. And so, there's been some comparisons to September 2008. I think, that's Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Let's see what happens. Let's take this incrementally. Is it good? No, it's not great, but it doesn't necessarily mean, that the labor market is going to collapse.
And now what's interesting with that is that a lot of times there are groups that are looking at these numbers, including the Federal Reserve. Does that mean that maybe we could see some shift when it comes to that?
I think that there's the hope. Probably saw Trump's tweets or whatever they're called on Truth Social this week, where he's, practically at this point demanding that they lower the rates. And I do think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be one of the sizable rate reductions that we've seen in a while.
Now, if you are somebody who is in that category, who is seeking employment, what are some of the jobs that maybe they should be looking at? What are the ones that are seeing a lot of growth right now?
Well, healthcare continues to take the lead, and I think no matter what's going on in the economy, healthcare is not going to go away, right? So healthcare is a great area, social services is a great area, and family services. Those are just community-related needs that are just not going to dip down because of economic issues. If anything, sometimes they go up. I would stay away from U.S. manufacturing. That tends to be a kind of volatile industry right now, and obviously the federal government's not really hiring anytime soon.
Yeah, because that was one of the industries where there was some job loss, was in manufacturing, correct?
Correct, yeah. And then, there's some speculation. Is that because of pressures on U.S. businesses with the tariffs and the trade wars going on? Again, I'm a big fan of incremental conclusions. I'm not going to rush to this is exactly what's happening based on a month or two of data. But I think we're going to start to see a trend as months go on and the tariffs continue to go up and down. What's happening with these businesses that just don't know, and how do they plan for it?
Right, because we're seeing kind of the concerns as a greater whole, and then that kind of trickles down to, of course, the job market.
Yep.
Okay, and so anything that you're going to be keeping an eye on as we look forward to the next ones that are coming out, if you're going to see any trends, I would imagine that you're always looking to, okay, what's the next one going to look like?
Well, what I'm really interested is the preliminary half-year revision. So we talked about how there's 2 months when you can do a revision. There's also an annual one, and that comes in February, but we're about to see the half-year one. So I think that's going to be really interesting to get that sort of cumulative effect. Where are we mid-year? So next month, jobs report, I think that's what we'll be talking about.
Okay. Annie Ellis, we always appreciate you coming in and appreciate your insight.
Thanks, Allie.
All right.